our air brake test has 4 stages. The first stage we're going to do here is our governor cutoff test. So first I need to do some things. Go ahead and put my code in, if I have one, and turn my truck to the on position. I need the truck to be on in order to fill the air tanks. Now I have my truck on. I'm going to then push my valves in, which is going to release a little bit of air. My air brake test has 4 stages. First is the raise to governor cutoff test. I'm going to build my pressure up to the governor cutoff, which should kick on between 120 and 140 psi. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and rev my engine, as we can see here, at 13 RPMs, and get that air pressure built up. And now I am just simply listening for the moment that that air pressure is released with the governor cutoff. My governor cut off at 125 psi. It is now time to start the second stage of my air brake test, the applied pressure test. But before I do that, I need to again do a couple things to get ready for it. First, I need to go ahead and turn my engine off and my electric back on. I need to make sure I can read my gauges, but I can't have those tanks continue to fill up, or else I'm not going to see if there's a leak in them. Once I've done that, I also need to confirm that I have my hill assist back off. Remember, we need that hill assist off if your truck is equipped with that, because that cuts off the air supply to the trailer, and we are not able to see if there's a leak unless that hill assist has been turned off. So make sure you press that button, and you can tell it's off by the flashing icon on the dash. Now once I've done those things, I can go ahead and get into my applied pressure test. The second stage of my air brake test is my applied pressure test. I'm going to fully depress my service brake and wait for my gauges to stabilize. When they do, I'm going to make sure I do not lose more than 4 psi in 60 seconds while listening for leaks. Now at this point, I'm going to stand on my pedal, confirm that my gauges have stabilized, and say to that examiner, my gauges have now stabilized. Will you please start my clock for 60 seconds? Eventually that 60 seconds goes by. He says that's time. You take your foot off and you say to him, I did not lose more than 4 psi in 60 seconds, and I did not hear any leaks. It is now time for our third stage, the warning light and buzzer test. I'm going to continuously pump down on my brake until both my warning light and my buzzer come on, which should occur at or before 55 psi. Now at this point, I continuously pump down on my brake, and I watch my air gauge. I can see that my warning light and buzzer came on at exactly 60 psi. Now that fourth and final test is going to be my valve deployment test. I'm going to continuously pump down my brake until both my tractor and trailer valves both deploy, which should occur between 45 and 20 psi. Now at this point I continue to pump down, and I'm watching my valves. I need to see when they both deploy and note the air pressure. I can see both my tractor and trailer valves deployed at 30 psi. That fulfills the requirements for my air brake test. So guys, there it is, your perfect air brake test. If you do it just like this, you'll pass on your very first try.